Welcome to Simply Business. I'm your host, Taylor Lee, and I'm so excited to have you here. As a business consultant, I've helped countless business owners simplify their strategies and achieve their goals, and now I'm here to bring you this expertise right to your ears. Each episode, I'll be sharing tips and strategies to help you achieve your business goals without the overwhelm. I will also be chatting with business owners and industry experts to share their stories, insights, and lessons they've learned along the way. Let's dive in and simplify your business. Hello, and welcome back to the Simply Business podcast. I am so excited for today's episode and conversation. I'm assuming that you know what you clicked into based on the episode title, and you're excited to hear a conversation around money and finances and have a bit of an insight into my business. And it's really interesting because I haven't had a conversation around my own business finances for some time now. And for a little bit of context as to why I don't really speak about my business finances as much now is I feel like it was really popular, not even I feel like it just was in the coaching industry in 2021, 2022, even 2023, about speaking about like what that you were making in your business, but that almost being your only sense of credibility in the space. And it's all that people leverage, especially business coaches, even, people that it had no relevance to, fitness coaches, like it has no relevance to your business or your ideal client, you speaking about it, right? Like people that weren't business coaches. And I understand the essence of why business coaches speak about it. It's important to have that level of credibility. Like you want to know that you are making money and all of these things. But I really just got to a point of contemplation of, I don't want that to be the reason that people are investing in me in terms of what that I am making or what that I'm doing and all of these things. I want people to work with me because of my skill set, because of my actual qualifications, and because of my client results, more importantly, and what I'm actually able to create for other people, because there is plenty of people in the industry that are making good money or, present that they are at least, or will say that they're earning good money, but can't replicate it for their clients. Their clients get poor results, spend so much time, energy, effort, and money in these investments and don't get a return. Instead, I started to focus on how can I just ensure that every single client that walks through my doors in my business actually get the best results possible through us partnering together. And that became more important to me, which I believe, and I'm going to go into the contributors of this, has been such a big contributor to my success and the financial growth and all of these things, is because that's what I focused on more than how much can my business make and what can I do. And my business growing has just been a byproduct. And I was literally saying to a friend the other day, for the past, especially 9 months, like this year, I have not focused on necessarily a growth season, quote unquote, in my business of intentionally trying to grow my business financially. And it's been the best financial growth period I've ever experienced because I've actually just focused on my clients. And I think that's the first lesson I would really love you to take away from this episode is financial growth is great, but when you actually just prioritize the work that you do and deliver an incredible service so that your clients actually want to stay around and that your clients actually refer you and, have great results for great social proof, the money and the finances is just going to be a byproduct. And I wish more people understood that, because I see so many people that are just so caught in acquisition, sales, signing the next client. If you can actually just focus on what you've got and doing it well, again, everything's going to be a byproduct. And of course, there's some other moving pieces that I'm going to go into, but I just wanted to touch on that. The other piece that's really important for me to touch on, that's really important to me, is money is just one metric, and it's a great metric, and we want to make sure that we are making money. It's the point of a business, and let's not beat around the bush with that. However, there are so many nuances to actually understand. And to take into consideration, should I say. So what I mean by this is I've had over 100 founders work with me just this year alone. And when I do audits with my clients, we can have businesses that are earning and generating good money. However, if that business is still not profitable, if there's still not effective cash flow and good cash flow, it doesn't make a difference. So you could have business A that generates $100,000 in a year and they have great profit, and they, after operating expenses and all of the things, have an extra $40,000 in profit sitting there. You could have a business that's generating 4 times that and still have the same profit left over at the end of the day. So it's really important to understand that there is more to this than just how much you're generating. And what's been really cool to reflect on in this quarter is not only has it been one of the best quarters yet for my company, we have doubled or just shy of doubled, I should say, since the October to December quarter last year. So 3 quarters ago. But what's really cool in comparison is the hours worked for me, especially. So I specifically remember that like period of time, and like your girl was slogging away, and it was really in a rebuild kind of phase. And I was really, I brought in my 6-week intensives that were new around that time. And really, really pushing. And that I specifically remember that quarter was the time that I was like, I'm fucking focusing on client results. And I'm focusing on how I could just get people in to experience my service, not trying to convert people into these, high ticket spaces and all of the things. My prices were significantly lower. They, should have been more, but I brought people through the doors and it got people incredible results. They stuck around. And now some of my like long-term best performing clients have come from that time period. And I just said this on a client call to a client earlier today, is do the things that other people aren't willing to do. Sometimes that might be charging less, but in my opinion, it's the thing for the long-term sustainable future, rather than trying to do this work around like receiving more and like, charging 20K for something when you feel cooked. And don't even get me started on like the ethics conversation. But if that you can actually just focus on delivering the most incredible fucking service, that is going to propel you forward unlike anything you've ever experienced. And I know it sounds so simple, but so many people forget it. And what actually contributes to client experience is your systems, is your client journey, is the client experience, and then obviously the actual service that you're trained to deliver as well. And if we just pause like the whole acquisition thing for a second and like how to get the next client, focus on what you do have, that will build and compound. So what I do want to go into is the main things that have really contributed to this financial growth for me. And like I mentioned as well, something that is really important to touch on for me is this is the time, like not only has it been incredible from a revenue perspective, our profit margins have, let me actually look before maintained and increased. And I have worked the least that I ever have. And I think a lot of the time when people hear worked the least I ever have, I'm not fucking working 2-hour days. I wish. But I am not working past 6 p.m. at night. Like I could probably count on my 2 hands just this year alone, like how many times I've worked past 6 p.m. at night. That used to be my norm the year before, where it was like up late, up early, just like constantly fucking working, but like things that weren't actually moving the needle forward or weren't really compounding and actually leveraging and creating results for me, where now I clock off, I box in the afternoons, I have so much more quality time with my partner this year as well. And even throughout this like quarter period, I got in the best shape of my life. I was in a calorie deficit, working with a coach. I was training more, walking more. I was so much more intentional with my food. I was actually more depleted. Anyone that's a bodybuilder would be like, depleted, she reckons. I know, but like for my version of depleted, okay? My partner and I purchased an investment property. We renovated that investment property, and I was working at the house. We were there every Saturday and Sunday, and sometimes throughout the week as well, always coordinating constantly, like on the phone with trades and all of the things. So let this be your evidence that you can grow financially in your business and do it sustainably as well, in a way in which that's maintainable with really good profit margins, and in a way where your lifestyle actually gets better as a result as well, which I feel like not many people speak about. Everyone just has their eyes on like, I want to make $500,000 this year, I want to make $1 million this year, whatever it might be, but look at what cost. And I think that's something that's an important conversation as well, because a lot of the time we think we want something, but then we don't actually consider what comes with that. So I've experienced this in my business where I was like just so set on growing financially and the things that looked good on Instagram and for everyone else but myself. But then I put on weight. I wasn't fulfilled. I wasn't the partner that I wanted to be. So at what cost? I would personally rather make $100,000 less in the year in my company and enjoy myself in the process. And I've said this to people and clients in the past. I'm like, okay, we could grow you to a team of 10 if you wanted to, if that's what truly lights you up. But I hate people management. I dislike it. I don't want the pressure of paying other people's bills. I already have that with what I'm doing right now and the size that I am. And I think as well for women, especially, I think men, it's probably going to be different. They're going to have different perspectives, which is perfect and fine. But especially for women, I think as well, we can just actually come into what's the business that we desire to actually have and how we want it to support our life. Do you want it to support slower seasons of your life where you can actually have the ability to pull back, but you can still be financially contributing to your family? It's really coming into what do you actually want for yourself and building from there, not just, again, what you think you should be doing. But I should have the G-Wagon, I should have this thing, and I should have that thing. It's like, which is all amazing. And I fucking love nice cars, like literally get me a G-Wagon. But it's really about what like lights you up and your values that's important to come into. But I'm going to stop going on my tangents, but they're my favorite things to speak about because it's really, really important to consider when it comes to profit margins and values and all of these things. There's so much more depth to actually how much you're making. So what I want to go into is the main things that really contributed to this growth. Obviously, like I said, we've nearly doubled what was the quarter, like less than a year later, which is significant. And also to be able to have great profit margins within that and work less. I'm like, win-win, baby. I kind of like cringe at myself saying that. I die. You guys are getting it. Podcasts are great for this because I don't clip out my podcasts. So you're really just seeing it all. But the main things that contributed to this growth, and if you were a client of mine, these are the main kind of areas that we would look at. Obviously, each business is unique, so we'd go into that together, but really just want to touch on this. So one is I really changed my office suite to, and sorry if I'm looking down at my laptop, I just don't want to miss my notes. My office suite to truly cater to my ideal client. Now, as I mentioned, that 6-week intensive that I brought in, obviously that was one piece to the puzzle. It wasn't the entirety of, why that we were able to generate the results we were, but I really looked at my business model, and business coaches were always saying, like, in order to work less and make more, you have to have a scalable business model, which means you have a group program and then you funnel people into the group program. There's no caps, la-di-da-di-da. However, you need to actually consider your ideal client, what problems they're facing, what desires that they're looking to achieve when it comes to the service that you provide, and what support they want in that. Do some fucking market research. I did some market research and I really understood what problems that my ideal client was experiencing, what they thought they needed versus what they actually needed. I'll give you a quick example. So many of my ideal clients thought that they needed to make another hire in their business to free up capacity when they actually needed better systems and operations in their business that wasn't going to cost them an extra $50,000 to $100,000 in a year. It wasn't a team member that was the problem. That was just going to add to the mess, as an example. So once I understood that, my marketing could then be that much more effective because I actually understood my ideal client, one, and then I could actually customize my offers. So my ideal client, being a business owner, and you might be listening to this if you're a business owner and you might be nodding your head at this, did not want another 6-week course on how to make $100,000 in a year. That's not what they fucking wanted. They needed customized support because they'd been handed these cookie cutter strategies and it wasn't fucking working. They didn't actually have someone that would go into their business with them, understand all key facets and areas to their business, the actual problems that were unique to them, or give them strategies that were unique to the opportunities they had that was also unique to them. So if I've got a client that comes to me and they are good with content, visibility, they have a great engaged community, I'm looking at how we can leverage that and then actually amplify that in their business. If I have a client that has a minimal social community and, platform, we're looking at other areas that we can really leverage their business. No two strategies should be the same. And anyone that demonizes strategies on socials, and it's like, you need the identity to match it, or you need the this to match, da. Yes, of course, two truths can coexist. However, no strategy should be here, the same fucking strategy. That's not how it works. Strategy is custom, it's built, it's hands-on. and it should pivot. I literally pivot my strategy frequently. We'll look at how marketing performed, adjust it. If you don't have the understanding of the principles behind what you're doing in your business, you will always have to invest in someone to be able to teach you and help you. That's what I pride myself on with my clients is my clients choose to stay to work with me because we're constantly evolving together. However, they understand the principles to be able to operate and run their business because I've actually taught them. And as they get to new levels, I'm supporting them at new levels. So it's really, really important for you guys to understand that, especially when people are making, strategy wrong. You need a fucking strategy and to be able to adjust it. And this is being strategic, understanding your ideal client, doing actual in-depth market research and customizing your offers to make sense, building out an effective client journey. That's strategy that's going to be able to double your revenue and strip back your time and be smart whilst doing so. So that was the first thing, is really customizing my offers. So you might be a fitness coach listening to this as an example. If that you're finding that your clients, this is the most basic example, don't need weekly check-ins, why the fuck are you offering weekly check-ins? If that you're working with Gen Pop and you're like, for my service, and you just copy and pasted it because every other coach did that, this is where you're going wrong, right? Because you're taking someone else's framework and approach, and it doesn't actually make sense for your approach, what you believe in, your coaching style, or your ideal client. And that's the most basic fucking example. And if you do weekly check-ins, I'm not telling you to strip them back, but I'm just saying it's important to actually consider what makes sense for your business. Next one is I actually implemented back-end systems that moved when I wasn't working. And this is such a big one, and it's something that I do with so many of my clients, if not every one of my clients. And I'm not talking about 75 Zapier integrations where you've got to feel like you are glued to your laptop trying to set it up and you're fucking confused, and like if the automation clunks up, your whole business is fucked. Like, I don't want a business that's running on a fucking robot and you still want a level of human touch. Like, we can still do that, but it's important to have a system that supports it. So as a perfect example for you, and I know I've referred to this a lot in systems and things like that, but my onboarding process in my business, the moment that a client pays, everything fucking happens. And sometimes that requires a level of human touch, and sometimes that requires, it just happens through automation. So they pay, they get populated into our client database. So that means that I can see the clients in there. I can see all of their onboarding in there. We have ChatGPT prompts for summarizing onboarding, so it makes it simplified for us. There is systems in terms of managing the payments. If payment fails, emails happen there that are automated. Then it triggers the human response, whether that be me or my team member going in and doing certain things. Same with the audit side of things. I'm going over the audits, but they're done up until a certain point to then trigger me to go in. I'm not manually operating and doing the entire thing. It triggers client gifts to be sent out that are custom. We have custom cards for our clients that we handwrite. So you can still have a personalized touch in your business, and you don't have to lose it all to automation and systems, but it's important to have those systems there so things are still moving in the back end. Even things as simple as, I remember business coaches saying you don't need a website. No, you don't need a fully built out website, but if you don't have somewhere that redirects someone outside of Instagram, what the fuck are you up to? It's important for business. You don't own your Instagram followers. Whoop-de-doo, if you have 15K on Instagram, you don't own them. What is of value when you go to exit a business and a business is valuated? If you have 15,000 email list subscribers, you own that list. That's actually the data of the business. So it's really important that you actually start treating your business, I don't want to say like a business because that's such a generic statement, but these are systems that are important to have in your business that you've been told aren't. So that's another massive contributor. And to be able to actually then nurture those followers and prospect clients outside of your Instagram. So even something as simple as our packages and rates downloads, we nurture our prospect clients through that with social proof, objection handling, and we're nurturing through there. So again, these things are all happening in the back end that's actually supporting the sale when the client does decide that they're ready to buy, ready to invest, all of the things. We've had things churning in the background that have been supported that heavily reduces the purchasing time in comparison to if they were just following on Instagram. Next one is really doubling down, and I know I mentioned this earlier, on prioritizing client relationships and their experience in the company. Something I did in, I think this was July, maybe August, I'm going to say July. And this had nothing to do with anything really, in the best way possible. We rebranded, I transitioned to company this year. We rebranded to Strategic House so that I could be Taylor, like me as a person. I'm a podcast host. I am the founder of the company, but we really wanted to expand Strategic House just outside of myself and it be, my team and the experience and all of the things. Anywho, just for literal fun and to say thank you to my clients, because I literally wouldn't be in this position without them, without their trust, without, them just being the fucking incredible clients that they are. We invited a group of my clients, I believe there was 16 to 20 clients, to a lunch. And obviously I service globally, so we couldn't have absolutely everyone there. One of my clients was literally, it just worked out perfectly with timing. She lives in Bali. She was there. I had clients from interstate there. Those clients were all there at this lunch. I shouted it, drinks, food, all of the things, because I'm like, I just want to say thank you. Right? And it's the little things that aren't for like a marketing ploy. It's not, hey, pay to come to this like VIP lunch thing for a few $1,000s. Like, no, like I just want to say thank you. And it was just like the smallest thing. We've done so many things, even our client gifts, like these are all things that I just genuinely value my clients. I'm sending a message outside of, our container and just like, hi, how are you? Checking in, all of the things. And obviously, again, once you start, like I've serviced close to 500 clients now. It's hard to do so with every single person and consistently, but it's when you actually just prioritize the client relationship and giving them the best experience, giving them the most seamless onboarding process. As an example, like there is nothing worse when you purchase something, especially if you were investing a few $1,000s into something and it's clunky, things are missed, you haven't been added to your program, you can't find your portal, you can't find this thing, when are my payments coming out? It's fucking confusing. Like what are you up to? Like put yourself in the shoes of your client. If you're not happy with the experience that they get and you're like fucking 10 out of 10, like I would happily have anyone and everyone in this space and be so proud of it, that's a problem. So you need to prioritize that experience and how you can go above and beyond for your clients and actually get them the best results. And I think for a long time there, we were taught that over delivering was a bad thing. And don't get me wrong, like you charging yourself out at a really fucking low rate, silly. You saying you do 10 hours a week when you're actually doing 40, silly. I'm not saying the extremes of over delivering, but I think there is a certain level where that's what's going to set you apart from your competitors. And I'm sure you've had that experience, whether it be at a clothing shop, at a restaurant. And if you go to a restaurant and their service is exceptional, the food's amazing, and they give you, a little free dessert, or it's your birthday and they bring out a cake and sing happy birthday and you didn't pay for it. Like they're the little things that really stand out from a client experience perspective that makes you want to go, I fucking loved this restaurant. You should go there. They made me feel so special on my birthday, or whatever the thing might be. You want to replicate that in your own business. Other piece that's really, really important to mention is clarity around your finances. And if you're not new here, you'll know this is something I harp on about, and not from a space of me trying to be a financial advisor or an accountant. I'm fucking not. However, if you go into a meeting with your accountant and they say the word profit and you are confused, if you don't understand what your operating expenses are, that's a problem. Right? And I say that with so much love and from a space of like, just get on it. It doesn't have to be 10 layers deep. We don't have to make it this like, I avoid my finances and because of my life and all of this, my upbringing. Like I'm fully aware of that and the contributing factors. However, if you are a business owner, businesses are designed to make money and to be profitable. It is your responsibility as the founder of that business to understand what is happening financially in your business, right? And all it takes is awareness. And in today's day and age with ChatGPT, like it's really not that difficult. If you're collecting all of your payments in one space, which you should be, whether that be a business bank account or Stripe or Kajabi payments or Nui or whatever it is, all you need to know and understand is what is coming in and what is going out for my business. Like just even starting there. This is a conversation I was having with my clients. We're doing quarterly reviews. I like sent them some prompts. I'm like, this is what I want you to look at for your quarter. And a lot of my clients came back and they're like, fuck yeah, my profit margins are sitting really high. And I was like, like looking at it, I'm like, yeah, technically. But for a lot of us, if you're a sole trader, your wages aren't considered in your profit and loss in Xero the way in which you reconcile. So if I'm looking at operating expenses being $2,000 for the month, that's not actually factual, right? If you're taking, a wage of $1,200 a week, right? So this is where that awareness is so important. I said this to multiple clients, actually. I'm like, yes, but no, because your wage isn't considered, and that is an operating expense because your business wouldn't run without you. So, okay, now your operating expenses are sitting closer to $10,000 maybe than $4,000 for the month, which is perfect and fine. But we want to be able to have an accurate reading of the numbers and the metrics that are playing a part in your business. So for me, having weekly money meetings where I do my payroll, I check what's going in, what's going out, failed payments, things like that, and actually being across the finances in my business, I'm then able to make much more financially informed, I guess you could say, decisions in my business that are a lot more grounded and neutral, that aren't reactive, because I am very, very intentional that I'm like, I know my numbers. I know that this is tax money. This is like allocated. It's not mine. I want to have a good, healthy buffer financially. This is my budget for marketing. This is my budget for team, for personal development, business development, investments, all of the things, client gifts, whatever it might be. I'm effectively allocating and moving my money with intention and purpose. So of course I'm going to make more, because I truly believe that making more, it's going to create new levels of responsibility. It's kind of like when you first move out of home and you're like, now I'm paying rent and now I've got to, afford my own food and my groceries. It creates a new level of responsibility to what you once experienced when you were 15, right? So as you grow and evolve in your business, it's going to require new levels of responsibility. And that doesn't mean that you have to be someone that's fucking boring and like all of these things. Like, money is there to have fun with and all of the things, but you still want to be responsible. And that comes from that understanding of your finances. So if you want to make more, right, you need to be able to effectively manage what you've got right now. It's kind of like if your parents were, me coming in with all of these weird kid analogies, if your parents were to give you $100 and you were irresponsible and spent it right away, are they going to trust you giving $500? Probably not, right? Or like your partner, or like whoever it might be. So it's really important that you actually create evidence for yourself as well, and your own self-trust of being able to actually move these finances and feel really confident when doing so, that you will then actually be able to build more. The other piece, my final piece off the back of this, is something that I want to touch on that I actually did with my incredible accountant. And this was actually, it would have been right before this quarter, I believe, the one that's just gone. So 2-3 months ago, we actually sat down and we did a 12-month forecast. And based on like my goals, the profit that I wanted to be taking home, my own wages, what I wanted left over in my business, my team, allocations for different budgets and things like that, we looked at what the company would need to be making on a monthly basis. And I remember looking at my account and I was like, this feels like a bit of a stretch. Like, this feels a little uncomfortable. It wasn't just this space of where I feel like typically accounting's like, oh, what's the damage that's been done over the past 12 months? It was actually like, here's what I want from you in the next 12 months. And it pushed me, like, definitely I was like, look, but it wasn't from this space of survival and that I have to. And I think so many founders in particular build their business from this space of survival and I have to make this money. I have to make ends meet. And it's like that, which at the start, it's kind of like that, especially if you've, quit your job and all of the things. But moving from a space of desire and I get to make this level of money, but also being challenged in it in a really healthy way was something that was really new to me. And I was like, this is bizarre, because I'm so used to moving from problems and creating like, holy fuck, I didn't make much last month. I'm going to have to fucking go hard this month to make up for it. Like, that was just my pattern. And that was like what I was so used to, where this year I was like just really growing stably. I was growing at a stable rate. Don't know if that's grammatically correct. My mum would probably come for me. But you get my point. And then I had this meeting with my accountant. She was like, it's fucking possible with, your offers, how much you have been making, this with your profit. And I'm doing the revenue that I need to be doing in order to hit that target and that goal. So, and I still want to be pushing a little bit more as well. But, it's so important to just honor the season that you're in and also push yourself and have the right people in your team that are going to show you how to do so. And I even had a client call the other day, and she said to me, she's like, this is what I want to make in a 12-month period. And I was like, okay, perfect. But based on what you're charging here, which for some time I was like, change your rates to X, Y, and Z. And she's still kind of like in the process of doing so, which is perfect and fine. But I said to her, and I was like, I'm just going to be completely honest with you and blunt with you. You will not be able to make this target number charging what you're charging, because it would actually require you to work 200 hours in a week, which is impossible, right? So a lot of the time we get caught in step 7 where we need to look at step 1 and 2, which is what I'm so big on with my clients. Is so often we get caught in the shiny thing and like, I'm going to get to this thing and I'm going to lean into being illogical and all of these things. But there has to be a level of like realism that comes in with, okay, well, what's actually happening right in front of our fucking eyes? And having someone in your corner to be able to reflect those pieces to you, to actually look at, here's a leverage point, to be able to look at, here's how we can actually add an extra $5,000 a month into your business without you having to do anything more. We're just being intentional and smart. That's who you need in your corner to be able to grow and scale your business in a way that, again, I want to highlight this, is aligned to you, your values, and what you actually want to achieve. If you're someone, and I have a client like this, that she is a stay-at-home mum, she works 8 to 10 hours a week in her business and generates more money than some people that I've seen that are working 50, 60 hours weeks, because it's just smart with it, because we've leveraged what makes sense for her and her business. So, and then you might be someone that has the capacity to work 40 hours a week and you could make, 4 times that, or like even more if you wanted to. That's also perfect and fine. So I think it's just really important to understand, what are you willing to give, and what do you actually want to create for yourself, and we can reverse engineer from there together, because it is so fucking possible. And this is exactly what I do with all of my clients in whatever space it is, because I am so hands-on with my clients. But we have 2 new options. Actually, one of them's new. One is, this isn't the new one, the accelerator, where it's included, where we do a business audit and implementation plan together, where we'll go hands-on. I'll audit and understand all of those key areas, and you can actually implement inside of the accelerator. It is a space designed where you are someone that is already working hard, you're self-disciplined, like you're fucking good with that, but you just want the implementation support. If you're like, I've done this sales page, I don't know what to do, this problem's arisen in my business, I need support, I need help with my marketing, I want feedback on my content, this system, what's the best way to optimize, and you want that implementation support, it's extremely accessible from a price point perspective when we look at business. So that's the accelerator. If you're wanting more guidance and hands-on support, you can get access to the accelerator, the business audit implementation plan, and then monthly calls with me as well, where we'll touch base every single month. We'll go, what are we implementing over the next 4 weeks? And it's a little bit more hands-on, and there's a higher level of accountability. That's also the monthly consulting package with me as well. So if you have gotten to this point and you're like, I really need Taylor in my life, or if you're a past client, you want to come back in some kind of a capacity, please reach out to me via Instagram, email, whatever is best. We'll link them below in the show notes. Let me know that you came from this podcast episode, and I will look after you. But thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Simply Business. If you have any requests or anything like that, please reach out and let me know. I'd love to hear from you so we can create more content that you do really enjoy. I hope you have the most incredible rest of your day whenever you're listening to this. And that wraps up another episode of Simply Business. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to today's episode. If you enjoyed today's conversation, please feel free to share it onto your socials and tag me. I love seeing all of your shares and feedback on the episode. If you're feeling extra generous, please feel free to follow me over on Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok at Taylor Lee Consulting, and a like and subscribe wherever you listen to this podcast would be greatly appreciated. I'll catch you in the next episode.